Hi, as I sit here sculpting this familiar face, it always takes me back. It takes me back to 1968 when I walked up the hill from my house. I was in high school and walked a very long distance to go to a theater to see a movie called Planet of the Apes. Now, I had just read the book, and the book was just fascinating. And I knew about the makeups because I saw them in Life magazine, just like the rest of you who grew up around the same time as I did. That's a good way of putting it. But to make a long story short, that's what launched my career. I mean, that and working at the American Zoetrope and working with Francis Coppola and making my own movies. But I had this fascination beyond just being a filmmaker with how did they do that? And so I did a lot of investigation and I learned how to do it on my own and make foam rubber prosthetics, which led to my meeting Ricky Schwartz in San Francisco at a convention, the first one I'd ever gone to, and it was Star Trek and all these different things, and it was amazing because there was all these props from Star Trek, and there was Ricky Schwartz. And Ricky Schwartz had prosthetics never used from Planet of the Apes. He took me up to his room that night and he showed me the actual prosthetics, and it was amazing. Make a long story short, as I've said twice now, he suggested I come to LA, and eventually I did do that, and he introduced me to John Chambers and a lot of other people, Tom Berman, the people that actually worked on Planet of the Apes. I was doing a lot of my own Planet of the Apes prosthetics and selling them at conventions and making live appearances and costume and everything during 1973, 74, 75, 76, right in there. And I guess it was about 1975, one day Ricky was over, I was at his house, that's right. And he gets a phone call, and I hear him on the phone and he says, "Oh, John, hi." "What?" And he motions at me to get on the other phone. Two phones in the house. I pick it up and I listen, and it's John, and he's going, "Hey, boy, they're gonna bulldoze the makeup trailer down at Fox." Now, for those of you who don't know what I mean about the makeup trailer, there was this very long trailer, or building, they called it the trailer. They had all this row of barber chairs and things in it. And I was privileged enough to have worked on the Planet Apes TV show briefly and actually got to work in there and go there. That was later on. Right before that, though, no, it was after. It was after I worked on Planet of the Apes. It was a little while later, I guess after the show was canceled, that that phone call happened. What Chambers told Ricky, and I heard him tell on the phone, is they were going to bulldoze the trailer. They were going to dismantle it, take it apart, and that all the molds for Planet of the Apes were under that trailer. So he called Fox and he warned the guard that Ricky and myself would be coming down there. He told us to put on lab smocks. Now, in those days, we used to wear white lab smocks. They were very traditional if you were a makeup artist, especially an effects makeup artist, which there weren't that many of back then. So we put on the smocks. We got in Ricky's Ranchero. We went to Fox. I can still see it as clear as day. We were going to Fox. Ricky said, "Just be cool. We're going to go in and get some molds that and I said, "Okay." And of course, a Ranchero is kind of like a pickup truck, so there's lots of room in the back. We pull up to the guardhouse. The guard knows Ricky. Of course, all the guards at all the studios knew Ricky. And hey, Johnny told me he'd be coming and all this, so he waves us in, we go in, and there it is. We pull down this little narrow corridor, and there's the trailer next to the stage. And Ricky proceeds to take this sort of grating off the bottom, underneath it, off. And inside is this treasure trove of molds, and they were all Planet of the Apes molds in perfect condition. Every single last one of them. Zera's, Roddy McDowell's, Kim Hunter's, Zero, of course. But not only that, there were beneath the Planet of the Apes molds in there for the mutants. There were, as I recall, some sculptures in there that were sculpted in clay and painted as prototypes to the mutants in Beneath the Planet of the Apes. And then we found a whole bunch of stuff from Lost in Space. Billy Mummy's masks that were made for the extras in the background when Billy Mummy got turned into Dr. Smith. The molds for the Dr. Smith prosthetics and a whole bunch more. We got Dr. Zaius's molds. We filled that thing up to the brim, so his whole rear end was hanging down like this. We left the studio, and we brought him home. And Ricky kept most of them. I got a few of them, but over time they got dispersed and sold to collectors. And that's why those molds exist to this day. In fact, the molds that you saw pictures of in the 50th anniversary of the Forbidden Zone Museum for Planet of the Apes, those were all molds that I had in my possession, and so did Ricky. And that's how those molds got saved. Now, it wasn't really exactly legal what we did. I mean, John Chambers told us to go down there and save them because they were going to get destroyed or bulldozed, and studios were known for doing that. And the guards loved him, the studio loved him, so everyone thought it was okay for us to do it. We didn't really have permission. We had permission from John, but if we hadn't done what we had done, those molds have all been lost. It was amazing to be part of Planet of the Apes in that way, not just from doing what I'm doing right now and I'm still doing, but they've been part of that moment where we preserved something very precious to the Planet of the Apes cosplay and fan community. And that's how those molds exist still today. Some of the costumes too exist today because of similar actions that were taken by Ricky Schwartz, which I will tell in another story when we do more of this, because I got to get back to this orangutan. A lot of you have pre-ordered them and I need to get them done. So we'll see you next time for more stories from Steve Neill's Hollywood.